In this video, we're going to look at some of the concepts from Chapter 5 of the C1 textbook. So this chapter covers equations of straight line and coordinate geometry. We've got to be able to write the equation of a straight line in the formats of y equals mx plus c and ax plus by plus c equals 0. Find the gradient m of a straight line between 2 points. Find the equation of a line from its gradient and a point on the line. Find the equation of a line from 2 points, and find the gradient of a perpendicular line. Y equals mx plus c should be pretty familiar from GCSE. It's quite a convenient way of writing a straight line formula because it lets you read off the gradient and the y-intercept. So I'm sure you can remember this from GCSE, but that m there is the slope of the line basically. If we've got a positive value of m, we'll have a positive slope like the one in the picture here. If we've got a negative value of m, then we'd have a negative slope. You might remember that you can find the gradient by looking at the change in x and the change in y of the line. And in fact, if we say that the change in x is 1 here, then the change in y must be m, the gradient of the line. And then looking at the intercept, the y-intercept, basically that's just the point where the line cuts the y-axis. There's our y-axis there. There's x as our origin. So that's at this point here. The line's going to come down and cut at the point C. Okay, let's look at some examples. So example 1. Write down the gradient and the y-intercept of these lines. Well, for A, first of all, it should be pretty straightforward. We're comparing that line y equals minus 3x plus 2 with the line y equals mx plus c. So we can straight away that m, the gradient, is minus 3 and that the y-intercept is at 2. So our intercept would be the point when x is 0 and y is 2. In part B, we've got to do a bit of work before we can read these off. We've got to rearrange that formula so it's in the format y equals mx plus c. So let's see if we can do that now. First of all, we could add 2y to both sides. So we would get 4x plus 5 equals 2y. And then we'd have to go through and divide both sides by 2 to get a single y on the right hand side. So that would give us 2x plus 5 over 2 equals y. There's nothing wrong with leaving that improper fraction as it is there. So basically here, the gradient is the number in front of the x, that's our 2, so m is 2, and our intercept on the y-axis is the point 0, 5 over 2. Okay, let's keep moving on. Example 2. Write these lines in the format ax plus by plus c equals 0. So the first thing we know is that a, b and c have to be whole numbers for this to work. So let's start with the first question, a. Y equals 4x plus 3. We want the x's, the y's and the constant term all to be on the same side of that equal sign. So if we subtract y from both sides, we'll get something like this. And then just rearranging that into the format, so we've got x's first, followed by y's, and then followed by a constant equal to 0. We would give this 4x first, then the y term is a negative y, and then the constant terms, the plus 3, equal to 0. There we are, job done. And all of those coefficients are whole numbers. Let's move on to part B then. So we don't want any fractions involved in our coefficients. We'll have to get rid of that negative half. So maybe the first thing to do there is to multiply through by 2, giving us 2y equals negative x plus 10. And then let's rearrange that into the format that we're after. So we want x's, y's and constants all on the same side. So we add x to both sides. That will give us x plus 2y. And let's take that 10 off the right hand side. So it'll be minus 10 as it moves across here. There we go. And again, we've got constants in every term. X plus 2y minus 10 equals 0. Okay, let's look at example 3. A line is parallel to the line y equals a half x minus 5, and its intercept on the y-axis is 0, 1. Find the equation of the line. Well, first of all, we need to know its gradient, and we can get that from the fact that our line is parallel to the line y equals a half x minus 5. So parallel means that they will have the same gradient. Okay, so our new line is going to have a gradient of a half as well. Y equals a half x. And then we need the y-intercept, which is given in the question. It cuts at the point 0, 1. So that's just plus 1. And there we go, there's the answer. Example 4. A line is parallel to the line 6x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0, and it passes through the point 0, 3. Find the equation of the line. Okay, so we've got some information that the line that we're after is parallel to 6x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0. But really, to get that gradient of it, we need that in the form y equals mx plus c. So that's the first job. Let's take that equation, 6x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0, and get it in the format y equals mx plus c. So if we just take off the 6x, another 2, we'll get 3y equals negative 6x plus 2. And then we'll have to divide through by 3. Y equals negative 2x plus 2 over 3. Okay, so now we can see that the gradient of this line is negative 2, and that's the gradient we'll use for our new line. So now we've got this, we've got y equals negative 2x, but we don't know what the intercept is at this stage, so let's just call it c for now, and see if we can use this extra bit of information in the question that the line passes through the point 0, 3. What that means is when x equals 0, y equals 3. So actually that is the y-intercept, isn't it? The intercept is the point where the graph cuts the y-axis, and the y-axis is the point where x equals 0. So we can straight away answer this question. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. There we go. Moving on to question 5. The line y equals 4x minus 8 meets the x-axis at a point P. Work out the coordinates of P. Okay, let's have a think about this. So all the way along the x-axis, the value of y is 0. So all we need to do is to take that formula, y equals 4x minus 8, and because the x-axis is the line y equals 0, just put in a 0 for y, and then solve that to find x. So if we add 8 to both sides, we get 4x equals 8, x equals 2. So there we have our point P. Point P is the point 2, because x is 2, and 0, because all the way along the x-axis, y is 0. And that's the end of this video.